going to introduce the supervising sound editor. He's been nominated for a Golden Reel for this movie. He has 9 Academy Award nominations and the winner of 2 Oscars, so please welcome Alan Murray. Hi there, Alan. Come on up the steps and head on down to our massive panel here. There you go, right down there. He was just nominated yesterday for the ASC, great cinematographer, and he's nominated as well for the Critics' Choice Award. Please welcome Lawrence Sher. All right, welcome. I want to introduce them together. We have, and there's a bake-off going on right now in their category for the Oscars where they've been shortlisted, and also up for the Makeup and Hairstylist Guild's awards this year too. So please welcome the head of the hair department, Kay Georgiou, and the head of the makeup department, Nicki Ledermann. Okay, and we have the film editor has been nominated for the ACE Award already this year. Please welcome Jeff Groth. Welcome, Jeff. And the costume designer, you all know him. He is the winner of 2 Academy Awards and many more in his future, I am sure, as well. Mark Bridges. And I'm so happy to be able to introduce the composer of that incredible score you heard here. She is nominated for a Golden Globe Award for this, as well as many others, a Critics' Choice, and other awards already for this. So please welcome Hildur Guðnadóttir. Hildur Guðnadóttir. Welcome and congratulations. All right, come on in. And did I leave anybody out? Oh, I think I did. He is the co-writer, the producer, and the director of this film. Please welcome Todd Phillips. And congratulations to Todd, too, who's nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Director and for the film as well. Thank you. Really excited. And the Critics' Choice. A lot of stuff happening here with Joker.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea when you came up with this idea that it would not only have this impact within the industry and getting this kind of recognition, but with audiences that have really turned up for it and are talking about it?
I mean, not on the level of if you're talking about business of doing $1 billion or anything like that, but when Scott Silver and I sat down to write it, we really did want to make something meaningful and something that resonated with an audience within the comic book space. I'm still surprised that it caught on as big as it had around the world, but that was the goal.
Yeah. What do you think, though? I mean, this is totally different than when you talk about comic book or DC. You went to Warner Brothers with this idea, probably even a bigger idea that you had, right, to do it. And what was their response?
Well, their response was, to the bigger idea, the idea he's referring to, I said to them, we should start a label at Warner's. I always think big. I didn't think about one movie. I should start a label, we'll call it like DC Black, and we just do these really kind of independent-minded DC films. Character studies like this, things like that. And their response was, calm down, you're not starting a label at our studio. but when I had pitched that idea, I had pitched them like three movies, Joker being one, a couple other characters, and other directors. It wasn't for me. I said, get this director to do that, and that director to do this, and I'll do Joker. And they said, calm down, but you can start, write Joker, and let's see what it turns into. And if it's good, we'll make it. So that's what that's like.
And you did, and with your co-writer, and it goes to very dark places, and places we look at this and we see, it's sad to me when you see the portrayal here of Arthur and what happens to him. That chilling scene for me, with the social services director, where she said, they don't care about me and they don't care about you. And this is somebody that could have been saved from this kind of life.
Yeah, and it's a little bit about, of course, the environment of Joker and how that has an effect on him, or Arthur, I should say. We wrote the movie takes place in 1981, but we wrote it in 2016, 2017, and it was very much a reflection for Scott and I about what's going on in the world today. And so that's where it kind of came from. I said jokingly last time, when Barack Obama was president, I made 3 Hangover movies. It's all fun, everything's cool. Then everything changed, and we sat down and wrote Joker. I like it. I got it right away. All right, now look at this panel here that you put together to make this movie, and nobody does it alone. And each of them, as I reeled off their names, and they're all nominated for something, and everything's happening on this. So it's extraordinary. Yeah, and it's exciting for me. I'll stop talking now because I've done a lot of these. I've done some with Peter, and I've done some with other people, and I often do them alone. So it's exciting to have this kind of murderer's row of talent in all their respective fields. So yeah, how about it, please?
Let's start with you, Hildur. The score, which is usually the last thing that comes into a movie, but yet you were brought in earlier than normal, probably on your other composing jobs and things, on this picture. Can you explain how that worked and how you worked with Todd and how the music became integral even while Joaquin was acting in it?
Yes. It is quite unusual to be brought on so early, but it's really wonderful as a composer to have that opportunity, because I think for me a lot of the same parts of your body and your imagination are kind of channeled, like the way you read, and you have to kind of imagine the pacing of the landscape and the emotional waves. It happens quite similarly to when you're writing music, because you have to first kind of feel it and then make music out of it. So it was a really beautiful process for me to be able to kind of channel those parts at the same time. And so Todd sent me the script, and I just loved it. I think it's really honestly one of the best scripts that I've ever read, and it was just such an honor for when he asked me to start writing music, just based on what I felt from the script. It was so exciting for me to start from that place, and it really resonated strongly with me. And when I started to when I sat down with the cello to kind of enter Arthur's head, it was the kind of connection was really, really strong. It was almost like it was like hit by lightning when I really felt when I found his notes and I turned that into his
That's amazing, and that was an interesting thing to play it on the set for him, to help him with his performance.
Well, yeah, one of the advantages of having asked her to write music based on the screenplay was then we had music before we even started shooting, so we were able to play that music a lot of times while Joaquin was performing, play it in the camera operator's ears. It really infected and affected the set, and in a lot of ways, I think a lot of these guys who were on the set heard it every day. We were probably sick of it. I mean, we only had like 4 or 5 cues that early. Not to say she wrote that whole score early. She wrote like 4 or 5 cues that we would just keep replaying in certain spots.
Yeah,
while we're shooting.
While you're shooting, which is I haven't heard of that process.
It was really amazing. I always think like. It seems so logical to me now, and I'm always like, oh, if I do another movie, I would do it the same way. I mean, everyone on this stage got to read the script before they started, doing their jobs. They were, it's like there's something about like, yeah, just start. Let's see. It's cool.
And it's such a beautiful way of having a dialogue as well, because I'm, words are not really my way of expressing myself. So I'm not really great at, explaining myself with words. But to be able to have this dialogue through.
That's a really good point. Yeah,
Yes,
because
yeah,
she can explain
yeah.
music, and that's a tougher thing to do. You know, Mark could show me pictures in a book of wardrobe, or Larry and I looked through photo books. But with music, it's different. So it enabled all these conversations not to happen, and she just spoke with this music.
Yeah, exactly. Because then I saw, like, when you guys started sending me dailies, you know, I saw how they were responding to the music, which was just magical, because it was so of the same, you know, so similar movements, you know, that when I saw Joaquin's dancing, you know, it was so similar to the movements that I felt like with the music when I was writing it. And we never said a word about it. Like, we never, and that's just such a beautiful way of being able to bounce back and forth, because then I could respond to the dailies that they were doing, and I started writing more music based on what they were interacting with, you know, from the first cue, so the ball kind of bounced back and forth, and it's just a really, truly wonderful way of collaborating, I think.
Extraordinary. And Mark, you know, you've obviously done a lot of movies. Was this different working with Joaquin and putting him in these outfits that he's got to be in for 12 hours, 13 hours, and how did you work closely with him in designing these costumes here for this?
You know, this is the third time I've worked with Joaquin. We're always starting a fresh page on creating a new character. So, you know, we have a great back and forth. He has ideas. He's very open to things that I bring to him. You know, Todd and I had talked about maybe what we wanted to do, but let's see how it goes. You know, and so it evolved. You know, we try on a suit. The only thing that I would say Joaquin was concerned about was making sure that we saw his very thin physique. I think he was going to all that trouble to prepare for the role. So let's not hide it behind a big bulky suit, you know.
But that was happening during the whole production. He kept losing it.
Absolutely, and at some point I stopped taking the pants in. You know, you know, and just they're gonna be the way that they were. He's gonna wear them. You know, he likes to kind of be left alone, not in a bad way, just to be able to be that character. So we stopped.
There's not a lot of fidgeting once he's in the clothes. They
Yeah.
just come and fidget with him a lot.
You know,
Although, you know, Kay and Nicki can speak to that, because hair and makeup often have to approach him during the day. He's not read at that part. Well, nobody would like that. You're sitting there, you know, but they have to do it, so that always was a really interesting thing to watch.
Let me temporarily skip over Jeff and get to the fidgeting. And you guys did a great job here. And so talk about your process of working with him and what Todd was just saying too.
Well, Joaquin was literally a moving target. We had to double team to actually get some hair and makeup on him, run away and have a cigarette break, to then ride him back with pretzels, back in the makeup chair. It was, even though it was such a fun job, it was so hard. It was, because we love him so much, and at the same time you have to treat him like your favorite child that you have to reprimand constantly all the time to let us do our job, which was apologetic. And it was so, he would be like, I'm sorry, I can't say it, I have to go, I have to go. He'd go.
And then it would be a moment, and then he would come back.
But at the same time, it was kind of great that we did that, because it really made us do our job the way it's supposed to be, meaning his makeup. It's not me, is it? And his, yes, it's him, he's good. That's better, right? So yeah, because we had to do our job in a very organic way, because he's not a master of painting. It had to be done fast. It had to be done organic, and we had no choice of doing exactly that, because he couldn't sit still, and it was actually quite helpful to deal with that, right? I'm trying to speak with this microphone.
Yes, that's absolutely right. He first of all, he wanted to do the makeup himself. That's true, right? I'm not lying.
They want you to confirm.
Oh,
that.
no, that's 100% true.
So the first thing Nicki had to deal with was persuading him to let her do his makeup. So she had to do a makeup that he felt comfortable with, based on a makeup that he had done originally himself.
Yeah, that's true. He sent me a video from his phone of him putting the makeup on, the Joker makeup on, in his apartment where he was living in New York, the movie. And it was pretty good. I mean, it was the right idea. I mean, we had Nicki and Hugh and I and Mark Friedberg had come up with that look. It's not that he invented the Joker look. But then Nicki gave him the makeup, I think. He took it home and he just applied it to say, because we did want it to feel like it's something he would apply, the character. Now, the character's also a clown movie, so he has more skill applying that makeup than maybe Joaquin did. But he didn't do bad, and that started the ball.
Yeah, that was actually also really helpful to see what he would do, and then could take that and, apply it as he would do it, just to make sure, we keep continuity perfect. So there was no way that he could do it, so that was really... And finally, he felt comfortable, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, but the Joker character, Joker, is actually wearing a wig, because we shoot out of order movies, so Joaquin was very not into wearing a wig. Most actors don't like them, but because the movie was shot out of order because we didn't have De Niro, we only had him for 9 days, so we had to do that Joker thing, the big thing, earlier, then we did the riots later, so Joker came in and out of the movie, so to speak, shooting order. So Kay created this unbelievable wig, but it was really her job to keep it on and keep control of it.
Because Todd refused. Am I speaking loudly?
Maybe the other mic, yeah, or Larry's mic.
How about that? How about that? Can you hear me? How about this? Does that work? Okay. So, yeah, Todd refused to not shoot the film in continuity order, which meant I had to use a wig for Joaquin, which he was not keen on having at all. But he understood the only reason that he had to wear it was because, in the morning he would have brown hair, and in the afternoon he'd be the Joker. We went backwards and forwards. Also, Joaquin is naturally grey, and Todd wanted him to be dark for the part of Arthur. So again, keeping him in the chair for that, to get his hair dyed for that. The first time I dyed his hair, he left. He just left. He said, I can't sit here any longer. So I had to get him back to wash it off. Then there was the days of when the wig went on. And I did promise him initially, I knew how hard it was for him to have the wig put on. And no actor, it's absolutely true, no actor wants to go through that. And I promised him that I would do it as quickly and as efficiently as I could. So on the days where he was the Joker, what we would do is Nicki would do his makeup and I would do his hair at the same time. And I think we managed to get it down to about 14 minutes, something like that. 14. Something like that. It was
That's amazing.
And then what would happen on, for example, the bathroom scene, that extraordinary bathroom scene, he washes off his makeup. So
It's cut out of the movie, but at the end of that scene, he actually sits at the sink and washes his makeup.
So what would have to happen there, because Joaquin would not want to leave the set, and nobody else would want us to leave the set. So Nicki would take him to the side of the stage and then reapply that makeup on set with me holding my iPhone so that she had better light to see where the makeup went in the first place.
And he would say, what are you doing? Are we done yet?
It's funny because I had a feeling we were going to cut that out, but I was so into watching that whole circus. I was like, just let him do it. I need a break too, so.
There you go. We were tortured by everyone. He, the director, Larry, everyone had their time cards.
You just referred to Larry torturing you? Larry, what's this all about?
I torture everybody. I don't know what. I think what's interesting to hear from all of these people here, because I haven't actually shared a panel with them, is a consistency and I think it's a consistency to Todd's style of shooting as well, which is to be as present and as quick and as improvisational as possible because of the energy that it provides and the result it has on screen. And I think Joaquin was no different, whether he sort of stole some of that from Todd's style or vice versa. I think one of the things in making this film was a study in flexibility and speed and energy. And I think that shows up on screen in a really interesting way that I found exhilarating as somebody who shot the film.
In terms of the look of the film and working with Todd on that, obviously set in 1981, it's a much darker kind of view than we've seen. A lot of people have compared it in some ways to Taxi Driver, that kind of movie. Can you talk about your approach?
Yeah, I think one of the first conversations Todd and I had about the film was it felt handmade. Here we are, we're making a studio film. It's not a $1 million movie, but it's also not a couple $100 million movie. But in spite of our tools that we have at our disposal, is to constantly make it feel handmade. And I think that was one of the most consistent things to sort of think about. And I think one of the things about those films in the 70s and the early 80s was they were handmade. They were sort of auteur directors making these character studies. And in that regard, that was, I think, one of the inspirations that we drew from those films. But as far as the look of the film, every time we went and really referenced those movies, including Taxi Driver, Network, King of Comedy movies that have been mentioned before in relation to this film, it never felt like the movie. And we would always say that. We'd look at a scene from Network and go, well, that's interesting tonally or whatever. But it was like, that's not the look of this movie. And we just kept doing that over and over again over prep. And the result was, let's make something that feels super authentic, takes you back, even if it's just emotionally, and your nostalgic memory of what 1980 New York City or Gotham, as we were sort of portraying it, looks like and feels like, but with an enhanced reality, let's say. So it can still have this kind of ethereal, lyrical quality to it, even though at the heart was something very real. And I think that went across all the different craftspeople, but something that was real and always started there, but could still be surreal at the same time, perhaps. If that makes sense.
I want to ask Jeff that too, how that approach affected your editing, your work in editing this film, and maintaining a tone which is so necessary for this, because it plays like a very realistic movie, not a typical kind of big level comic book movie that we've ever seen.
Well, I think the tone was it was kind of like tipping and balanced very, very slowly over the course of the entire movie. So you've got Arthur at the beginning, and you've got Joker at the end, and to find the spot where Arthur became Joker is meant to be difficult. It's kind of, everybody has their own opinion of it, and that it's kind of like that tone led that. In terms of reality versus the fantasy, we were trying to keep that real as well. So things that are ultimately revealed to be fantasy do play as though they're real.
Yeah, it's interesting. How do you work with your editor here on this film?
Why don't you answer that, Jeff? How do I work with you? Very intensely.
Very closely. I use the mouse on the machine left-handed, and I have a right-handed mouse for Todd, so that we don't have to switch. Because
Sometimes I'll come over and just grab the mouse. I mean, Jeff, quite literally, we edited at my house. He has to come to my house every day. We spend every day together. I mean, you work closely with everybody on the stage, but Jeff literally moves in. We eat meals together. He knows the child.
Right, and we spend every day, all day, even like you said, going to lunch together. It was for about 6 months.
Yeah, you should applaud that.
My 6-year-old still points up to where we edited in my office, which is in the back house, and she goes, "Is Jeff up there today?" I'm like, no, we're done. She thinks I have him hidden up there like Anne Frank. I'm like,
That's funny. Alan and I recently did a panel. He works all the time, has another Warner Brothers movie, a great one called Richard Jewell out this year. And I said then, and I'll say again now, I think it's the most misunderstood art in movies is sound editing. Because whenever I talk to a great sound editor, they talk about what they did to achieve all of this. Most people don't realize. They think sound, oh, it's either loud or it's not. And that is not this. So talk about what you did, particularly on this film here.
Well, Todd and Jeff had a direct plan on what the sound mix on this movie was going to sound like. So it was keep it real, keep it gritty. We started off in a normal sound field, and we mirrored what Arthur was going through. And as Arthur went through his conflicts, the soundtrack got darker, more sinister. So it was all these layers that had to weave in and out, and we didn't want to get away in the way of Hildur's incredible scores. So we took a lot of time to weave in and out on the soundtrack and make it interesting and make it build with the suspense and tension we were feeling.
So the unusual way the music was weaved in here really affected everything you were doing too.
Right. Because we would either start the decline into Joker's craziness or Hildur's music would, and then we built on top of that. So,
How big a challenge was this one for you compared to all the other ones you've been doing?
well, this was tough because, you know, being on this group of incredibly talented people here, just being part of it was such an honor. So, you know, you'd see Jeff's cutting and you know, everything was structured, so it wasn't freeform. Although Todd was open to hearing things, but again, he had a definite idea where he wanted to go with the soundtrack. So it was discovering what Todd wanted it and staying within those guidelines and trying to bring in new things. And we pretty much examined every sound and every part of the mix. So it was very involved.
We spent weeks talking about sirens.
Yes, we did.
I kept wanting the siren. I brought him. Me and Jeff and I had brought him early, like Europe. You know, sound. You know how when you go to France, the sounds of the sirens there, they're like, and I just thought that would be interesting for the sirens. And then when you would cut them in, and we go, well, what do you think? And he goes, I don't know. He was like, I feel like I'm in Belgium or something, right? So we kind of backed up that, but they did create our own sirens kind of for Gotham, right?
Right, we compromised and went more of a European siren and blended it with normal sirens, just to make it not New York, to make it Gotham, unfamiliar with what we've heard before.
An alternate universe, so to speak, even in sounds.
So cool. We have a few minutes. Let's see if you guys have any questions out here. Yes, right there in the center.
I have a question about the incredible fidelity of the score. Can you tell us a little bit about how it was recorded and where?
How
it was recorded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I played all the cello parts and all the weird sounding parts. There's a few. So I play all of those live. So all of that kind of stranger sounds like when you're going to the fridge and all of that. That's it's an instrument that is kind of like a Jimi Hendrix cello. So it's all. Sorry.
Here.
Hello? Yeah, so all of those kind of stranger sounds, like when he's going into the fridge and those like kind of wow sounds it's all played live on an instrument that's built for me. It's kind of like a Jimi Hendrix cello. It's like a feedback cello.
You plug it in. It's electric cello?
Yes, it's electroacoustic. So it has 8 strings. It has pickups on every string. So it's one set of strings above and one set of strings below. And then there's a speaker on the back, so it creates this kind of feedback system. And then I played that into 4 stacks of amplifiers. So it's all like live, and it's all like Todd was saying, very kind of handcrafted. It's all real sounds. So none of the sounds are like digitally created.
I was just curious if you recorded it at home in the studio of yours, or if you then after the movie went into a larger.
So the original recordings was in Niels Fram's studio in Berlin. So I live in Berlin as well, and then a bunch of them were done in my studio, which is in another part of Berlin, and then the orchestra recordings were done in the Dimana Center in New York. So with the orchestra was around close to 100 people. So, and the orchestra, the fidelity of the orchestra was also really important because I didn't want this kind of grand orchestra sound. So we used some like baroque instruments and like other instruments like within the string sections to create a little bit more of a kind of airy feeling and closer feeling, and they're all close mic and also room mic. So there's around like 80 mics on this tape.
Wow. Way in the back. Yeah.
Excellent cellist up there. The first scene where Arthur is doing the expressive dance, I was saying to myself, it sure looks like he's dancing to a piece of music, but then I go, well, no, of course the music's always done afterwards. But from your earlier comments, is he possibly that first very small one dancing to some music?
Yeah, that was like what Pete was referencing. That scene in particular, we played that piece of music for him. Of course, we re-recorded it later. But yeah, we very much built that scene around that piece of music because we had it available.
It's wonderful. He was drawing the picture of the music.
Absolutely, yeah. It's such a great narrative. It's my favorite scene in the movie.
Okay.
Hi, you talked a lot about the organizational aspect of the thing, and I just wanted to know, did you have an idea of kind of when you were shooting how you wanted the scenes to start, or were some scenes like that, and then you talked to Jeff and you guys figured it out, or what was kind of the
Process of how the scenes work.
You mean in the editing room?
No, and probably in the shot on the day.
Oh no, I mean, the script's written. We were shooting the script for the most part. Larry and I, we go through script and we break it down on how we're going to shoot it. We even do that on location scouts. And then Joaquin and I get to the set and we start always with the scripted scene. Let's say it's 2 pages. While there's room for improvisation, it's not so much that Joaquin does a lot of. I've done a lot of comedies, worked with people like Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn. Those guys will improv script lines. Joaquin more wants to figure it out before, so in the morning we'll sit in his trailer and like rewrite a little, retweak stuff. There's not a ton of improvisation in that way on the set. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Did either Joaquin or you kind of get together or separately do a lot of training? You say maybe another expert in terms of the movement that he uses?
Oh, he's asking about the movements.
Yeah, he's asking about the choreography of Joaquin, and he worked with the choreographer Michael Arnold, particularly on that. And Michael, really particularly on that stair dance, because there's 3 scenes in the movie that were scripted where he dances, but in the movie there's I think 5 or 6 scenes where he dances. So the ones that weren't scripted, i.e. the bathroom dance, we didn't even have Michael Arnold there that day. We didn't know we were going to dance that day. We came up with that back to improvisation that morning. So that dance in the bathroom, Joaquin came up with on his own, and it's sort of this blend of, I don't know, Tai Chi and improvisational dance. It's this beautiful thing that even he can't explain really, but he was affected by the music and by what had just gone on in the story. He just killed those 3 guys in the subway. But, I'm sorry.
I just want to say, you started to touch on his background. Does he have a background, or did he create a background in terms of the movement? Did he hire privately a coach?
No, just him and Michael talked a little bit about it. Joaquin personally has some background in dance.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Oh yeah, sorry, he
Has he ever
did.
done another movie with?
Has he done a movie where he dances like, I don't know.
Well, not like that.
No, I don't mean like that, I mean where he's dancing. I'm not sure that he has. Yeah.
Yes, right there.
Yeah, for Todd, you mentioned when you pitched Dark DC, 3 characters. Besides Joker, which were the other 2?
I don't want to say because then it becomes a whole thing. I've seen it happen. Very careful now.
Okay, yeah.
Early in the film, Thomas Wayne mentions that the person that killed those 3 men must have been in a mask because he's hiding from, within themselves or hiding under a mask. And I want to know, do you think that in the beginning of the film, he's Joker hiding under the mask of Arthur, or do you think it's Arthur who paints the mask of Joker on himself in the end?
I think that oftentimes people live with 2 types: the person that we put forth and the sort of shadow self. It's actually something Scott and I talked about writing. It's a Jungian thing, that with this idea of the shadow self or the mask. So I think Arthur is his mask. He smiles, put on a happy face, he tries to be a good guy, and I think as the mask gets chipped away, we reveal his true self, which is Joker, which is ironic because Joker's wearing a mask, but that gets it all confused. But so I think that's the point. I think in that dance in the bathroom, we see a little bit of Joker coming out, and that's the slow burn that Jeff, the editor, was talking about that we have through the movie, is this slow reveal of his true self, which is Joker.
Yes, on the aisle.
Hildur, you're very impressive, so please forgive me for this question that I have to ask. So composition is the area of film that's probably least represented for women. So I want to know, Todd, did you find Hildur, did Warner Brothers, and was there a pressure to find her?
No, there was no mandate. In fact,
No mandate, that's interesting.
There was no mandate. We have plenty of women on our crew. Our producer Emma's a woman. It wasn't like Warner's like, you need more women. In fact, it was our music editor, Jason Reuter, who called me up one day. I was in New York writing with Scott Silver, and he said, have you seen this movie Sicario 2? And I hadn't yet. And he goes, you should go check it out. The composer, didn't tell me if it was a man or a woman, by the way, just the composer, I think you'll really dig the score, and you might like it for Joker. Jason had read early drafts of the script. I went and saw it, and I did love it. I said, who is that? He said, it's this woman, let me get her email, I think, and we emailed, and it was very much that. But you're right, that it is certainly in composers, it does seem underrepresented. I don't know how many women, you know better than I do, are there a ton of contemporaries that are women? 1%. Yeah, well, I didn't know that. We never. It was not part of it. But when I heard that Sicario 2 score, it really was so specific and so something else, just unique.
1%, but now 20% of the Golden Globe nominees.
But a woman has never won the Golden Globe.
No.
No. There's been one female composer who has won with Hans Zimmer, but no female composer has won this category.
Okay.
So it's 77 years old, So that really says a lot about that.
Amazing. Yes. You waited.
Hey, who was it harder to, greenlight it, DC or Warner Brothers?
They're not really separate. They work together. So it was a tough movie to push through, but DC and Warner's are really one entity.
But one was like, oh, that's not part of the Batman story versus.
No, not really. Yeah.
Guys, I just got a signal that we have to clear up the theater because we've got more coming in here. But I want to thank this incredible panel for coming out.